this video, we will explore 5 clever signs to recognize male covert narcissists. The fourth one is very useful to know and recognize male covert narcissists. Number 1. Excessive sensitivity. Covert narcissism, unlike its more overt counterpart, often manifests in subtler, sometimes insidious ways. One defining characteristic in male covert narcissists is their excessive sensitivity, but not in the way we might traditionally perceive sensitivity. This isn't about empathy or genuine emotional depth, it's a hyperreactivity to perceived slights and an inability to handle criticism, no matter how minor. At the core of this excessive sensitivity lies a fragile ego. While the male covert narcissist might project an image of calm or humility, beneath that facade is a tumult of insecurity. Any challenge to their self-image, any hint of disagreement or critique, is perceived as a profound threat. This results in defensive behaviors, often characterized by passive-aggressive actions, withdrawal, or even playing the victim. For those interacting with a male covert narcissist, this sensitivity can be baffling and exhausting. Simple disagreements can be blown out of proportion. Offering feedback or expressing a differing opinion can be met with coldness, sulking, or veiled retaliation. Over time, this creates an environment where one feels they are walking on eggshells, constantly having to measure words and actions to avoid triggering the narcissist's sensitivities. But here's the paradox: while they are hypersensitive to their own feelings, male covert narcissists often seem indifferent or dismissive of the feelings of others. This lack of reciprocity, where they demand understanding and concessions for their sensitivities while providing none in return, is a hallmark sign of their narcissism. In understanding this excessive sensitivity, it's crucial to recognize its roots in the covert narcissist's deep-seated feelings of inadequacy. While it might be tempting to constantly appease or tread lightly, it's essential for one's well-being to establish boundaries and prioritize self-care when dealing with such individuals. Number 2. Manipulative behavior. Manipulation is the covert narcissist's subtle tool of trade. Unlike overt narcissists, who often use brashness and overt control, male covert narcissists operate behind the scenes, pulling strings in a way that's harder to detect but equally, if not more, damaging. Their manipulations are often cloaked in feigned innocence or masked concern. They might use guilt as a primary weapon, playing the victim or highlighting their own perceived hardships to gain sympathy and control. For instance, turning situations around to make it seem like they're the aggrieved party, even when they're clearly in the wrong. Another common tactic is gaslighting. This involves invalidating the feelings and perceptions of others, leading them to question their own reality. Comments like "you're too sensitive" or "you're remembering it wrong" are classic examples. Over time, this erodes the victim's confidence and self-trust, making them more susceptible to the narcissist's influence. Additionally, they might employ passive-aggressive behaviors like slight comments, intentional negligence, or forgotten promises to exert control without open confrontation. The subtlety of these actions often leaves victims feeling uneasy but unable to pinpoint why. Recognizing these manipulative behaviors is the first step in countering them. It's essential to trust one's instincts, seek external perspectives, and establish firm boundaries to guard against the insidious influence of a male covert narcissist. Number 3. Lack of boundaries. A defining trait of the male covert narcissist is their inability to respect or even recognize personal boundaries. Their world revolves around their needs, emotions, and desires, often to the detriment of those around them. This lack of boundaries is not always manifested through overt invasiveness. Covertly, they weave their way into spaces, both physical and emotional, where they're not invited. One might notice them going through personal belongings, reading private messages, or even eavesdropping on conversations. On the emotional front, they might persistently probe for intimate details, even when it's clear the other person is uncomfortable. They extract personal information, not out of genuine care, but to have leverage or to exploit vulnerabilities later on. These violations are often justified in their minds. They might claim they're just being caring, curious, or helpful. But in reality, it's about control. By blurring boundaries, they establish dominance, ensuring that others feel watched, analyzed, and under their influence. For those entangled with such a narcissist, the erosion of personal space can be deeply unsettling. It's crucial to remember that everyone has a right to their private sanctuary, both physically and mentally. Establishing firm boundaries and consistently enforcing them is not just a matter of preference, it's essential for emotional and psychological well-being when dealing with a male covert narcissist. Number 4. Self-pity and martyrdom. At the heart of many male covert narcissists lies an insatiable need for validation, and one of the primary vehicles for this is through an entrenched sense of self-pity and a portrayal of martyrdom. These tendencies go beyond the occasional need for comfort or understanding we all experience. They are systematic, often manipulative tactics designed to center the narcissist in every narrative. The self-pitying covert narcissist is a master at evoking sympathy. They paint themselves as the perpetual victim, regardless of the situation. Their stories are filled with tales of how they've been wronged, misunderstood, or overlooked. While everyone faces challenges, for them, these challenges are exaggerated to epic proportions. Their aim? To elicit reassurance, attention, and to divert attention away from their own inadequacies or wrongdoings. Closely linked with self-pity is the mantle of martyrdom they wear with a perverse pride. They're not just victims, they're noble sufferers. They might claim they're sacrificing themselves for their family, their job, or another noble cause, all while emphasizing how unappreciated their sacrifices are. In doing so, they attempt to instill guilt in those around them. Phrases like "after all I've done for you" or "no one understands the burdens I carry" become common refrains. The emotional toll of dealing with this perpetual state of self-pity and martyrdom can be immense. Relationships become one-sided, with all energy and attention directed towards assuaging the narcissist's perceived wounds. Over time, this can lead to feelings of exhaustion, resentment, and confusion in those around them. Understanding these tactics is pivotal. Recognize that this behavior is not a genuine reflection of adversity but a strategy for control. Empathy is a commendable trait, but it's essential to differentiate between authentic pain and manipulative self-victimization. By setting boundaries and seeking support, it becomes possible to navigate these tumultuous waters without being pulled under by the undertow of the narcissist's self-created narrative. Number 5. Triangulation and scapegoating. In the intricate dance of control and manipulation, male covert narcissists often deploy tactics like triangulation and scapegoating to maintain dominance. Both are divisive strategies, designed to sow discord and confusion, ensuring that the narcissist remains at the center of attention and power. Triangulation involves manipulating relationships between three people. The narcissist might share negative information or fabricate stories about one person to another, causing mistrust and friction between the two. For instance, they might tell a friend that another friend has been speaking ill of them, even if it's untrue. This tactic not only diverts attention away from the narcissist's actions but also positions them as a valuable ally or confidant, even though they are the root cause of the divide. Scapegoating, on the other hand, is about pinning blame. The covert narcissist deflects any responsibility for their actions or the chaos they cause, instead singling out an individual, the scapegoat, to bear the brunt of blame. By consistently portraying this individual in a negative light, the narcissist deflects attention from their own shortcomings and ensures that others view the scapegoat with suspicion or disdain. Both of these tactics serve a dual purpose. They destabilize relationships, preventing united opposition against the narcissist, and elevate the narcissist's position as either a seemingly indispensable mediator or a wronged party. Recognizing these tactics is the first step in dismantling their effectiveness and protecting oneself from their divisive influence. Keep in mind those 5 ways to recognize a male covert narcissist if you're suspecting someone might be a narcissist. If you're the victim of narcissistic abuse, please see the link in the description. We recommend the video on what happens to narcissists after 40 next.